Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining. We're just going to give our attendees and panelists a few more minutes to sign on, and then we will get started. Just give us a couple more minutes. Thank you. Hi, everyone, again. Thank you for joining our webinar this afternoon. My name is Mariam Khan. I am the Director of Communications for Gradian based in New York. I just wanted to take a few minutes to just do some quick introductions to the webinar if you haven't joined us before, and then I will turn it over to our moderator and panelists to get us started. Just a few quick notes to start. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can use the Q&A function as well as the chat function if you have any trouble. If you have any technical difficulties, please let us know during the webinar as well. You can see here that the webinar is being recorded, so you will receive a copy of the webinar to your email after the end of the presentation. If for some reason you don't receive it, you can find it either on our YouTube page, if you just search Gradient Health Systems, or you can go to our website at our training page and you can find it there. And then lastly, if you have any questions or feedback or want to see any topics covered in our following webinars in the next couple of months, you can email customers@gradienthealth.org. I will turn it over now to Dr. Papicho, who will get us started and take it from there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. Just to confirm that I'm audible. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. And welcome to today's webinar. We are going to discuss the UMV. Through this discussion, we'll try and go through the ventilation. What do you understand by ventilation? What is mechanical ventilation? And what are the benefits of mechanical ventilation during anesthesia? The special feature of the UMV, and then later on we'll go downstream down in discussing the UMV, the features, and then what is there that you can do with the UMV and the step that you can go through when using UMV for mechanical ventilation during anesthesia. These topics does not only concern the UMV. As we start about mechanical ventilation, it's a broad topic that covers any other machine that can provide ventilation. So to present this, I'll be there to do the first part, and then later on, Dr. Sweetbert, who's also a panelist and presenter, will be there to take over when I finish. As it was said by Miriam, our Director of Communications, I'm Dr. Papicho, anesthesiologist based in Zambia in Livingstone. Next. To warm up our minds and our thoughts, we start with a small question. What is mechanical ventilation? Feel free, either you send your answer in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and talk to us. We are here to discuss. It's not a lecture, but it's a discussion.
And if you'd like to speak, just raise your hand in the bottom column of your Zoom, and I can unmute you.
Would like to take it up and tell us what is mechanical ventilation. In this discussion, all the answers are correct. So feel free to tell us. We've been ventilating. We are all trained personnel. We know what it is. What do we understand by mechanical ventilation? Okay, we can move to the next step. I'm sure we all knew we're just shy to talk, but I would request that we can be interactive, we open up, we discuss, and then we get to understand the presentation or the topics better. So mechanical ventilation is simply when you are adding the movement of air in and out of the lungs by using a machine. Ventilation, that movement of air, and mechanics, because you are using an extra thing to do it, which is a machine, let it be a ventilator in this case, and then that's why it's called mechanical. So we have a good number of mechanical ventilation in anesthesia. I believe we all do surgery, let it be in neonatals, small pediatric, adults or elderly, and we've come to go through long procedures whereby we're in need of doing a mechanical ventilation. So a long surgery or major surgery that needs good relaxation of patient, mechanical ventilation is indicated. When you need to protect your airway, mechanical ventilation is indicated. Can somebody mention, please, one case out of anesthesia that need protection of airway, and then you ventilated your patient? If there's so much silence, I'll mention names. Okay, so a simple example of protection of airway, like a patient with low Glasgow coma scale who cannot protect themselves, their own airway. So in that case, we can also ventilate. So this is just to say ventilation can either be during anesthesia or not anesthesia. I just went out of the topic of anesthesia to say ventilation is indicated during anesthesia or during critical care. But today we focus more ventilation during anesthesia. Next slide, please. To make it more interactive, we said today we're gonna make it in terms of simple questions that all of us are going to answer, and then later on we can have a discussion. Or if you feel like you don't want to press a button and answer, you can actually raise your hand and then they'll give you an opportunity. You speak so that we hear your voice. What do you think would be the benefit of mechanical ventilation in anesthesia? If they say just choose one answer among these. Let me pick one of the participants to speak. I'll start with Gerard. Mr. Gerard, are you there? Yes, Mr. Gerard.
Yeah, Patricia, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm fine too.
Wonderful. Yeah. Back on the second poll, what do you think would be the benefits?
The portal?
Sure.
Yeah, I chose a control breathing circuit and total airway.
Protection. Okay, thank you very much. I saw there was another hand that came up. That was just Jonas. Yes, Jonas. Talk to us, Jonas. We've been given an answer by Gerard. Now we want to hear your opinion. What do you think? Okay, who's willing to pick up?
And
Okay,
again,
Mariam.
if you'd like to speak, just raise your hand and you will be unmuted.
Hello?
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, mechanical ventilation, it helps to protect the airway. The answer was to monitor ventilation and that for those patients who has a low Glasgow scale.
Wonderful. Those are brilliant answers that you are giving. This is going to
Okay.
make this presentation very short and interesting because all the answers you are giving are fantastic.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. As we are progressing, we'll come up to the answer and then all of us will agree that what we are giving as answers are very correct and then those are part of the answers. Yes, Mariam, we move to the next one. Next slide, please. Here is another question. What are the special features of the UMV? Among us, do you have those who are using a UMV? Colleagues in this webinar using the UMV? Any colleague who's using UMV at his station, at his working station in theater? Godwin, which machine are you using? Are you using the UMV?
Also, feel free to use the chat function as well. You can type out your answers.
Okay, as Godwin is trying to unmute himself. Stanley, do you use the UMV at your institution? Okay, we continue for our discussion. We can move to the next slide, Mariam. So these are the special features of the UMV. For those using a UMV at their station, maybe by describing, as you see the UAM machine, the ventilator that you have put on top there, this is what we call the UMV. So when you use that machine, I'm sure you've noticed that the feature that it has looks similar to what we are discussing here. One, it's fully automatic and electrically driven. So this is a machine that does not need atmospheric pressure like other machines. Most of these ventilators that we have in different machines, they need pressure, atmospheric pressure or air pressure for the vents to run, whereby the UMV is purely electrically driven, and it is incorporated with a battery that can last 6 hours. Sometimes during anesthesia or so, we can have challenge with power. And then there's sudden power supply interruption, and then you should be capable of continuing your anesthesia with your UMV, not fearing about machine switching off, because the vent can run for 6 hours when fully functioning in all different modes. We've noticed that the vent does not need bellows for it to give you the set tidal volume. This reduces the priming time of the vent. Remember, when the bellow is there, you first have time to prime to fill up the bellows so that you start ventilating, and then you give your actual dose. But when you're using the UMV, the machine has no bellows. It just generates itself a pressure based on the pneumatic system that is incorporated in it, and then it gives you your set tidal volume and the pressure and all other parameters as you are going to set them. The UMV gives you an assurance that you are giving good FiO2. How will you know that? Because it will tell you how much is your fraction of inspired oxygen that you are delivering to the patient. Assuming that, remember, with the UAM, you can either use room air in a case whereby you have challenges with oxygen, or you can either use oxygen from the different sources, that be cylinder or piped oxygen. Now, for you to be sure about the FiO2 that you are giving to your patient, the UMV is going to display, there's a corner where it will display the figure of the fraction of inspired oxygen that is going to the patient. Remember, the FiO2 is different from the SpO2. So the FiO2 that you are giving to the patient will be displayed on the UMV, and the SpO2 is going to be displayed on the patient monitor. And then everyone would like to know how much carbon dioxide my patient is releasing every time that they're exhaling. So that is why we are encouraging, if at all you want to purchase a UMV, it's better you go for the UMV that has a capnograph incorporated in it. If on your initial purchase there was no capnograph, you can still contact our technician, and then they will give you what is needed for you to acquire the capnograph if you do not have one. So a capnograph is really needed in modern anesthesia so that you do good ventilation to your patient. Remember, we are talking about ventilation, so eliminating carbon dioxide is one of the targets that you want to achieve. And then we are all trained on using the UAM. We know that if you are using the UAM, you want to go to ventilation mode, you have to switch the isolation switch, allow me the repetition, into ventilator side so that you take up with the UMV. If you leave it on the bellow side, then you might not be doing the right thing. Always remember, when you go to vent, you switch it so that you reduce the resistance, and then you open up free circulation of the ventilation toward the patient. Next slide, please. So a few more features which are specific for the UMV. So if you want to set parameters on the patient, you don't have to worry about it. If you know the weight of the patient, you can select the mode that you want to. You first select the weight of the patient, and then you select the mode in which you want to ventilate your patient. And then the parameters will be, some of the parameters will automatically be set. And then as clinician, still you have to go through and assess and see which one needs readjustment based on what you want to achieve on the patient. The display remains the same with the previous UMV. Remember that this version of the UMV is a new version. The display of the UMV is similar to what you had before. If at all you had the previous type of a UMV and then you're using this new design, the display is the same. The additional thing that is there is just that on this one, the FiO2 is incorporated on the screen of the UAM. And the CO2 reading which is optional. If you have it, then it will be there. And then you have choice of choosing either you want to see your CO2 readings either in figures, in loop, or in graph. So, I mean, for the CO2, you have the figure. If you want to see the modes, the parameters that you're giving to the patient, you can either get them in graph or in loop, or you can still have numeric. Next. When you check beyond the UMV, you'll find that the connection, it has a double pipe running from the UMV to the body of the UAM. This allows you to be safe even though your UMV is 40 and then you want to take it for attention to your biomed. It doesn't mean that the UAM will not work. In this case, you are going to disconnect your UMV and then you allow to continue with your anesthesia. But in that case, remember, you are going to operate in a switch, with your switch on the bellow side, and that will only be manual ventilation you are giving. And this connection of the two pipes coming to the UMV and the UM body, it also allows you to have continuous reading of the FiO2 so that you know at each time that the ventilation is taking place, what FiO2 my patient is getting. Remember, FiO2 is a parameter that is very important. It allows you to know more about oxygenation of your patient. In all that we are discussing, if you have any question, you have two options. You can raise up your hand. You'll be allowed to speak, or you can drop a question in the chat box, or you can use the Q&A to drop up the question, and we'll be there to attend to you. We'll open it up, everyone will make comments, and then we'll move on. Next, please. Another poll, a simple one. What are the modes of ventilation on the UMV? This one, I want everyone to say something. Before I mention names, I want at least 3 people to volunteer and mention the different mode of ventilation on the UMV. Anyone is raising his hand? Mr. James, will you want to say something? James, what are the modes on the UMV? Okay. Linda?
Continue.
Oh, yeah, sure, James. Carry on, please. We didn't hear you. James, unmute yourself.
I understand. Thanks. Continue.
Oh, wonderful. Linda, would you want to add up something? Yes, Linda, you can unmute yourself. Okay, good. We'll continue, and then we are going to discover what are the modes that we have on the UMV. I know you all have the answers, but you are shy to speak. We've all seen this on the UMV, that when it's time for mode selection, you have either the volume control, the pressure control, or the spontaneous. Just like James said earlier on, that was one of the modes that you have on the ventilation. On the ventilation mode on the UMV. So talking about the volume control, remember each mode that you choose or you select to work with has its own parameters that are specific to the mode. On the volume control, in this mode, it simply means when you're ventilating in volume control, the volume will be constant and the pressure will be variable. So the parameter to set will be the tidal volume. And the tidal volume that you set is going to generate a certain pressure in the patient airway, depending on the compliance of the patient. If the patient has poor compliance of the chest, or if it is too high resistance for different reasons, like patient with restrictive airway, patient with obstructive airway, patient with high stomach secretions, for such patient, you have an increased pressure that can come. So you have to now know how to play around with other parameters to avoid so much pressure during your ventilation. On the other mode, the pressure control mode, in here, the parameter to set, the main parameter to set is the inspiratory pressure, which is going to generate your target tidal volume. It's always advised that if you are selecting the pressure mode, when putting the inspiratory pressure, start with low pressure and you are increasing slowly until you reach your target tidal volume. Because if you start high, it might give you a very high tidal volume, which might be beyond what you would like to give your patient, and that can cause some barotrauma or any other type of injury to your patient's lungs. So the pressure that you set is going to generate a tidal volume. So that means in pressure control, the pressure is constant and the volume will be variable. Every time when that pressure is reached, what will happen, a certain volume will be generated. They are also depending on the patient chest compliance. It's going to give a high or low volume until you readjust your parameters and then you move on. But because you are doing a volume control, remember you have to set up some few other parameters which are going to be discussed later on, like the respiratory rate, the IE ratio, the PEEP, like on this vent, you can also set the PEEP, okay? And on the spontaneous, we can still do your anesthesia if patient is on spontaneous, while using UMV, okay? So the UMV has also an option of putting your patient is on spontaneous. Remember that when you put your patient on spontaneous on this UMV, there's low resistance, okay? Patient will be breathing on low resistance. That will allow you to assist the patient during anesthesia, going through anesthesia without so much challenges. When the patient goes apneic, the machine will sense it. If at all, for instance, you made a mistake and then patient did not really recover from full muscle relaxant weaning off, or maybe something goes, patient is too deep and then it becomes apneic or is delivering a low tidal volume. For safety features that the machine has, it's going to give you an alarm which will remind you to say something is wrong here. When you go check, you can either find patient is apneic or low tidal volume, then you have to take it up and do the right thing. Any question or comment so far? Next slide, Mark. Any question or comment? As I'm inviting Dr. Sweetbird to take up the floor. Thank you very much, Dr. Sweetbird. I'm sure the question will come at the end as we are finishing.
Thank you, Papa, for taking us through the first part. And once again, good evening for those who are in East Africa. And good morning for those who are in the East side. So I'll take you through the second part where we discuss specifically the UMV. I'm sure at this point you all are aware and you understand why mechanical ventilation is important, not only in intensive care or in ICU, but also even in theater. So it's really important to monitor what you are doing for the benefit of the patient. So maybe I will start with the poll, whereby for those who are using UMV, can you please tell me the steps which are important for pre-use, check, and calibration? Just any person. Any volunteer? Gerald Ofo or Jonas Msengi or James Makulula. One of those three. Can someone unmute? The others, they're letting their answer in the chat box. Yeah, of course, yes. Okelo Irene from Uganda. You're welcome. Who want to try to give a trial on what are the important steps you have to do before doing the pre-check? And remember, we are discussing the UMV, specifically UMV. Okay, let's continue. We'll get the answers. We are moving. Next step, next slide. Okay, so when doing machine check or when assembling the UAM, it's really important to understand the connections. And when we say connections, we mean connection of the machine to the UMV, assembling of the breathing circuit, but also connecting the flow sensor. And connecting the flow sensor at the Y-piece, it is as shown that the blue color is toward or it's proximal to the patient. I do understand there are some flow sensors which they are not aligned the way this is. It's kind of both line interlinked from one side, but the alignment inside is as this one. So the connection should always be the same. Once the flow sensor is connected to the machine, the blue side will always be proximal or to the patient. And we advise the bacterial filter to be after the flow sensor, but also there should be that connector to help you to do so. Next slide. Okay, I understand. Most of you, I know you have the new machine, and another important point is the connection. And I know there are labels on the UMV, but so there are labels on the machine. And here you have something you have to understand is the proper connection. So drive hose goes as labeled, where AA connected to AA and the BB connected to BB. As you can see here, the AA is on the right side, and the AA on top of them on the UMV is on the right side on the machine, and the BB, which is on the left side, it goes below the machine. Understanding the AA and the BB is important because we will see later on when doing the flow sensor calibration, you have to use either of the all here where is AA. So it's this. I know those who have used the previous machine, this is kind of modification, but this is how it should be connected. Once that is done for the ventilator drive hose, but also you have to connect the flow sensor. And here there are three tubes, yeah, and two of them they are labeled as there are two characteristics which they always label you. One of them is the size of each. They are kind of different, but also the color. So there's no way you would always mix them. So the two tube would be attached to the vent, whereby the blue one would go to the patient, and the one will be put to the patient, and the other one will be as directed on the UMV. And but also there's an extra one, which is for acceleration. For the new machine, you know, there's an extra tube which goes and support the acceleration. And I will really encourage when you're touching these, make sure you are touching them correctly, so that you should avoid unnecessary alarms and confusions. Next. Okay, so this is also as I said before, this is the connection when doing the machine check, especially on the flow sensor calibration. We use the top on, whereby you disconnect and also you connect the flow sensor as directed. I always start with and you use the top port, and you always start with the blue colored code on the close to the machine, to the patient. But also once prompted, you have to change as, or to align as it's directed during the machine check. So also this is important, especially the connector, as you can see on the lower picture, whereby when reversing you need the white, that white connector. In the previous machine we had the LED connector, but in this one you can the white connector, which is used for connecting the vent when doing the machine check. Also, this is also important because doing the flow sensor calibration will ensure you that whenever the machine is telling you later on when giving anesthesia, it's the right thing. So we encourage this to be done when doing a machine check, so that make sure everything which machine will tell you later, it's according to what's supposed to be, and for the safety of the patient. Next. Okay, so hoping the connection is okay. What you have to do once you have done with the connection, as was shown in the previous slide, whereby the patient flow sensor with the clear tube facing the ventilator, which means the blue one toward the patient, which is away from the machine. You have to you place the setting, then patient calculate patient flow, and then after that you will follow the instruction. As you can see on the lower picture, there is where once we touch the setting, and you see the list of things which can be calibrated. There's the oxygen, there's the patient flow, there's the leakage test, and all of those. So when you select the flow sensor, it will prompt you what to do all the way until it tell you reverse, and then until it's finally complete. Next. Okay, so you can do the flow sensor calibration. Once you finish up the flow sensor calibration, we advise you have to reassemble the breathing circuit and connect the way it should be connected. And this is making sure the blue colored line is toward the patient. Yeah. And that will always give you the right information. Of course, yes, during the machine check, there should be a point where it will tell you to reverse and all of those. And the flow sensor calibration, I understand there are people they do at the back of the machine. There are people they do on the wipes. And either way, you can do as long as giving you the results, okay. But something to remember, at the end of the machine check, remember to connect the breathing circuit the way it should be to avoid leakage and unnecessary alarms. And for the first calibration, depending on how busy you are, you can do it once every week. Next. So you have done your machine check, machine is okay, you have your case. How do you use your UMV? Meaning that how do you change from the bellow to the machine, and maybe from the machine to the spontaneous? Anyone who can unmute and give us the answer, or can light 2-line like the step, those who are using the UMV. Hello? Anyone?
Feel free again to raise your hand if you're not unmuted yet, and I can unmute you.
Okay, maybe we can discuss later. At the end of the discussion, they are still thinking. Next, Maria. Okay, so this is our machine. Of course, those who have the machine, they have seen your UAM has 2 valves, as it's shown there. But that can be discussed later, maybe somewhere later in one of the webinars. But today we are concentrating on the vent, as it's shown on the zoomed picture of the ventilator. This, as you can see, they are setting, but also they are measured one, but also they are graphs and the parameter which the machine is giving you. Next, right there. Okay, so when starting the vent, this is how it will appear. So we'll go all the way. Once the machine has done its self-check, you will have to pick the weight, depend on the case you have. Of course, there are 2 ways. You can either pick from the safety users, or from the weight which comes with the machine. And then once you are in, you have to verify, or whatever the machine is showing, especially on the setting ones, are they according to the patient? And there's something I would have to emphasize here. Once you finish your machine check, please review your alarms. Alarms should be reviewed, and you should set the alarm depending on the case you have. Whether it's a pediatric, or the adult, or whatever. And remember, each case, there's the way you can tolerate. So there should not be so-called universal alarm, whereby there are some anesthetists, our colleagues, our friends, they never look at the alarm. Everything is settled, the setting the same for whatever case comes in. So, but I really advise you guys, wherever you have your case, alarm should be individualized, because every patient has got his own demand. So always review your alarms and make sure they are according, they are physiologically plausible to that case. So starting the case, you have to switch the bellow isolator switch toward the vent. That is number 1. If you started the ventilator where the bellow is still on the manual, air will come to the bellow and the machine will start the alarm, and the patient might not get the air. So the light movement, you switch first the bellow isolator switch, and then you go to the machine, you start the case. Next, madam. Okay, this is the one I said. When you're starting the machine, you have to select the patient. Next. Okay, so once you have you changed the bell setter switch, and then you start the case. And remember, they said you have reviewed your parameters, you have reviewed your alarms, hoping everything is okay. So now will be what are the parameters you have to monitor during the when the patient is on the mechanical ventilation. Two people, please. No one has spoken since I've started. Let me pick my colleague, Dominic. So what are the parameter we monitor during the ventilation? Akelo Eileen. Rogers, please. Anyone who can try? Okay, maybe later. Next, Maria.
Tidal volume.
Yes. Number one, tidal volume. Number two, who's next? Okay, we'll come back to that. So on the UMV, there are this column where it's for user settings, where you set your inspiratory time, you set your inspiratory rate, set your PEEP, you set your pressure limit, set your tidal volume, and yes, and the machine will give you the minute ventilation for the set one. But also on top, there are measured ones or measurement where the machine is giving you whatever it's happening with the patient. It's very, very crucial you monitor your tidal volume, because the worst thing you have to avoid is hypoventilating the patient or sometimes giving too much tidal volumes. So I remember before when we were ventilating with the bell, when we panic and you end up giving those and maybe you are using the 2-liter thing that bell. When you panic, you may end up pushing all of the air to the patient, and no one need 2-liter to go to the chest, or even 1 liter. So the machine will always guide you to make sure you are setting according to the patient, and also you have to monitor and say whatever I'm giving, it's the one which goes to the patient. Because remember, as much as mechanical ventilation is a good thing, is also as bad as any medical intervention where it has complications. So knowing what you have set and monitoring what the machine is delivering, but also with the clinical judgment, things like Papicha has talked about internal carbon dioxide, things like oxygen content. We are using a pulse oximeter to know the amount of oxygen. But so things like tidal volume, things like minute ventilation, things like pressure, mini pressure, all of those things. Remember, when someone was on anesthesia, there are some collapse on some alveolars. So things like PEEP, you have to make sure the setting is okay. Things like IE ratio. So all of these things you have to monitor, make sure the patient is safe. Next. But also you can change mode, whereby you place on the mode, you pick the one you want, and once you pick the one you want, you have to accept by pressing OK once prompt. And this is important because you might have put your patient on mechanical ventilation, maybe it's waking up, you want to be on the spontaneous, you can change, go and do whatever you want. Next. Yes, this is an emphasis on the alarm. Please. Alarms, that's the reason why they are made in such a way that you can edit. If we had universal alarms whereby we have alarm for every patient, they would have been fixed. The reason why they have been this way, whereby you can change. So please, once you finish your machine check, come to the alarms and review and say, are these alarms according? Are this alarm set according to my patient? If not, because this will always affect or bring unnecessary alarm if they are not reviewed. So these are the alarms which are on the UMV. Next. So the additional settings on the UMV, apart from what we have discussed, you can change the volume, you can change the brightness setting, and you can pick which waves you want to see, whether it's a volume, it's a pressure, whatever. So that's one thing which can be changed there, and depending on your preference. Next. Okay, so now come to the basically, of course, we are here to discuss and learn from each other, but I think it's important whereby if you have any challenge, specifically with the UMV or with the mechanical ventilation in general when it comes to anesthesia, you can share, and then we can discuss and share experience. So you are welcome. Next. Oh, before next, anyone with who can give experience?
Hello, Sweetbit.
Hello, Ndaba.
Hello, Dr. Sweetbit.
Hello.
Yeah. I just wanted to just quickly jump in before, as our participants also prepare to make their additional comments or experiences. Yeah, so I like your presentation and the emphasis on the flow sensing, calibration, and how you've emphasized on the importance of making sure that we go through calibrating the flow sensor regularly. So also just to emphasize that, the flow sensor is a very important part of ventilation, because even for ICU ventilators, you also have a flow sensor there. Same applies to anesthesia machines, ventilators as well. So it's a very key component, and that's why you see it coming with a lot of emphasis. For that to be calibrate as advised, because remember, all the volume changes within the patient, such as the minute ventilation, that the machine, the vent measures, the pressure changes that the vent measures as a result of the information passing through the flow sensor. So if, for instance, your tube is kinked, or maybe there are secretions within the endotracheal tube, and the pressure rises, that rise in pressure will be detected by the vent as a result of the flow sensor. And then that will give you an alarm, which should prompt you to react in order to make sure that the patient is safe. So just to emphasize that flow sensor calibration and making sure that the flow sensor is always healthy and functioning well is as key as making sure that the whole ventilator is is working well. So let's make sure that we always pay attention to the flow sensor. We calibrate usually, like Dr. Sweetbed mentioned, 2 to 3 weeks during your machine check is recommended, and just making sure that you have the correct measured parameters on the monitor. Yeah, then just another quick comment. One of the things that I see us as anesthetists, really not paying so much attention to is, again, just the usual machine check, regular machine check. With time, we tend to relax. And each time you report for work in the morning, you just want to switch on the machine and then you connect your patient and things like that. So we need to remember that the vent operates like a computer. It's a smart device. So if it's not regularly calibrated or checked, it tends to give you errors as a result of not regularly following the steps before you. So it's very important that we take our time to do machine check, and then we also make sure that those devices that need calibration, such as the oxygen analyzer and the flow sensor, they are also attended to. I end there for now, Dr. Sweetbed, and just give a chance to others. Thank you. Hello, Dr. Sweetbed.
Arondaba.
Yes, I think Jonas had hand raised up earlier. I think during your presentation. I don't know if he has anything to add. Jonas Msengi.
Jonas, please.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, you can speak. We can hear you.
Yeah, only I needed to ask about I don't understand about which parameter can monitor on the UAMV machine, universal machine ventilator.
Okay, thank you
Hello.
very much. Yes.
I'm not understand on which parameter can be careful on monitoring during the anesthesia machine.
Yes.
Parameter.
For the UMV, the new one, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
With the UMV, so to begin with, oxygen has been incorporated in. So the FiO2 is monitored through the UMV.
Okay.
But also you can do the end tidal, but also you can do the tidal volume. You can do your inflation. You can do your pressure, P pressure mean, P maximum, all of those. So it can guide you in monitoring anesthesia with those parameters, in monitoring, giving a safe anesthesia by monitoring those parameters.
Okay, thank you.
Mariam, next. Which are this is what we are discussing. So these are some of the challenges we have encountered. I don't know if one of you have encountered them, so that we can discuss what and how did she or he manage. But these are some of the area we thought could be nice to share experience. And actually, even the presentation, if you are following it, it insisted more on this area, making sure we are covering connection. As you have seen, we have received most of the calls. People are showing the machine has got a problem, but when you talk to them, you realize it was a connection issue, a calibration. or something to remember. You have to do your machine check. In the event it fails, there's a room for you to do zero offset, whereby, but unfortunately the zero offset, it is within the engineer setting. So you needed the password, but of course that's always available whenever you need it. And those ones, if you do zero offset, you can calculate this and continue with your working. But also another challenge which you have seen, people starting the UMV without changing the isolator bell. That's why we insisted it in the presentation. This in summary is what we prepared for you. But please, if you have anything else, which even if it's outside the scope of the presentation, but it's a challenge with your UMV, please share so that we can discuss and come up with a consensus. I will give the floor back to Ndaba to modulate for the next discussion. But also we are all available. Picture is available, I'm available. And also you participant, you are here, we are here to learn from each other. Please welcome and share your experience. Madam, next.
Hello, Dr. Sweetbet.
Hello, Ndaba.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I also just wanted to mention that last time I got a call from one of the anesthetists about when they were doing, when they were calibrating the flow sensor. I think it was giving them an error. It was giving them an error, and so they couldn't complete the calibration process. Yeah, so when we went through it together, of course, remotely, I discovered that one of the mistakes that she was making was not to make sure that once you connect the flow sensor at the back of the machine, I think the first mistake was she didn't understand which port to connect the flow sensor to, whether it's the one on top or the one below. That's number one. Then number two was to make sure that when you connect, you make sure that there's a seal. There's no sort of leakage of any air around the space between the port and the flow sensor. Yeah, so I think that's one of the things that I've noticed. People don't understand clearly whether it's a top one or the bottom port. I think from this presentation, Dr. Sweetbet has mentioned that we usually use the top one, which is the port where fresh gas is leaving, comes out of the vent, going to the patient, back to the machine, and then to the patient. So always remember to use the top and not the bottom one. That's number one. Then number two, when you are connecting the flow sensor to the port on the vent, you always want to make sure that it fits well, it's tight, and there's a good seal. And then number three, sometimes it may take a little bit longer to sort of run through the calibration process, and so you may need to be a bit patient until it's done. But generally, it shouldn't take more than 2 or 3 minutes for it to finish one part before it commands you to switch to the next one. Yeah, so I think from my experience, those are some of the areas I've noticed that people may have challenges with the flow sensor. Thank you, Papa.
Asante sana. I will ask if there's any question from the participants. Challenge, suggestion, anything to share. If not, I will take this opportunity to thank you everyone for joining. I hope
there's a comment in the chat box.
Question.
James.
before James, there is someone early. Is it possible to get a record for this lecture? Well, Mariam, did you record it?
Yes, everyone will get a copy of the recording after the webinar.
Okay, that is done. The question chat box. And in the chat, yeah?
Yes, from James Nkalula. So he says some setups have no scavenging systems, risking theater staff exposure to anesthetic gases. Yeah. So,
you can proceed. Okay, proceed.
yeah, no, I just wanted to mention that for the UAMs, all UAMs are provided with the unless otherwise, with the scavenging tube that is meant to provide for this particular concern. When you connect it and then the tube is long enough for you to be able to direct it maybe to either outside or to a place where people will not inhale those anesthetic gases. So ideally, all UAMs have got a scavenging tube or line that comes with them. And if the machine you have doesn't have, I think you can get in touch with Gradian or the local suppliers so that that can be addressed. Otherwise, it's a very important concern. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Ndaba.
So you wanted to add?
I think that's what I wanted to say. But most of our machines, they come with a scavenging system. So I understand not every theater has got a scavenging system, or whereby they can put that scavenging and make sure the air goes out. But please make effort to, of course, moving forward with the anesthesia. Waste of the gases, the experience of the patients going down. But yes, for now, you have, as Ndaba says, a UAM comes with a scavenging system. We advised for you to use it. Looks like no more question, and we have 12 minutes. So I will, no, there are two questions on the question box. For the, what are the common source of leakage or failures in the universal anesthesia machine? I wish this question should be answered with one of the provider who is using anesthesia, if they have ever encountered any of the challenge. Anyone with that experience with that, who have encountered that challenge whereby the UAM is leaking? No one? So this means it doesn't happen, yeah? Of course, I don't remember I don't remember getting this challenge whereby someone has correctly assembled the breathing circuit and the driver holes. All leakage which I have seen with the users were related to someone not assembling the drive holes correct. Either, since remember it is at the back of the machine. So sometimes it's very easy to miss it and not being connected. That's the only thing I've encountered. And remember that that's not really a machine, it's someone missing it once doing the machine check and cannot forget to review and reconnect everything the way it should be. Otherwise, I don't remember encountered something which was really a leakage from the machine. So to me, with the experience I've seen the UAM since I think 2014, 15, and most of the common leakage I've found, and that was earlier, but now this is not much common. It was because of the not connecting the drive holes at the back of the machine. Unless someone has got another experience, we can share and discuss. And otherwise, thank you it's a good question. And I will try to see our data if you have any other issue or if I've seen any other challenge, I can share with you. I hope we have your email. So chat, another thing is in Daba James. Okay. So Mariam, welcome you for the last part of our presentation. You can spend as much as 8 minutes.
Great, thanks. I won't take 8 minutes, but just to say thank you for joining and to those who participated in the conversation. You should all be signed up for our newsletter now, so you will get information on our next webinar, which will be coming up soon. If you have any questions again or have any feedback, you can email customers@gradienthealth.org. And also just keep a lookout for an email with the recording. If for some reason you don't get it, you can email us or just check our YouTube page again at Gradient Health Systems. Just search for it in YouTube and it should be there. Otherwise, just to say thank you and thanks for taking time out of your day to join us for this webinar. We look forward to seeing you at our next one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.